This is it. The last day of proper spoiler season for Uprising. We are on for a pints and previews of day 4. Cheers to you. We'll be seeing a lot less fire today than we have in the past. We're simmering down a little bit in that power. We'll see some invocation, dragon, things like that, but for the most part, we're seeing maybe some generics in general, or generic class cards rather than specialized talented class cards, that sort of stuff. So still some good spice, just not maybe the fire that we have been seeing. But before we get into any cards, again, please check out the creators making these cards. There are some fantastic ones out there. Some of these videos, again, every spoiler season, you think that people have done great, and then more great stuff comes out. People are just getting better at what they're doing. New people are popping on the scene, and it's just been fantastic. So please join me in a pint and some cards. All right, our first card up is Invoke Chromae. This is from Flake and Box. Also, we'll see Chromae as well. So this is a 1 pitch, 0 cost, 3 defense, draconic, illusionist action, invocation. Transform target action control into Chromae. Go again. So non-legendary, cheap cost. Not sure what to think yet, but let's see what Chromae is itself. And that is a dragon that says 3 power, 2 health. Once per turn, when Chromae attacks or leaves the arena, gain 1 action point. Very cool there. It does note that you can't have them on your own turn, or on your when it's not your turn. So if this dies from an opponent's attack, you don't get one then to actually do anything with. However, that's not really where it shines. Where it shines is that if it leaves from Phantasm on your turn, because again, once per turn, when it's not when it attacks something like that, it doesn't have to resolve. It's just boom, when it leaves, an action point. So if this somehow pops from Phantasm, you're getting back that action point. And if not, you just have to attack, and then wonderful. I mean, you're not getting 2 for the attack and then the pop if it does, but because it's once per turn. But ultimately, you get that back, and you're also going to get an extra action point. So, thinking about illusionists in general, more traditional, we were looking at auras that some of them were instant speed and some of them weren't instant speed. And those 9 instant speed ones, you want to be able to maybe play out sooner, and hopefully they don't die. This is a nice way to get an extra action point to do that and still do something, or do 2 of them in a turn. So I think this has actually got a lot of play with more than just the Draconic Illusionist cards in particular. Dragons, things like that. I think that has something to do with illusionist auras as well, which we haven't seen as many of in this set. Excuse me. All right, so that is Chromae from Flake and Box. Wonderful there. Next, we are on to this is Invoke Mirage or Mirage. This is from Perenni. I don't know how to actually say that. Perenni. They had a fantastic video there. That was, again, very simple, but it was elegantly done. The voice acting was on point, fantastic. Told a great story. Really enjoyed it, so definitely check that out. One of the highlights of today's spoiler, that's for sure. All right, so Invoke Mirage, 1 pitch, 1 cost, 3 defense, Draconic Illusion, action, invocation, transform Ash into Mirage, go again, and then Mirage, of course, the dragon that comes out of it is a 2 power, 4 health. Your first dragon attack each turn loses and can't gain Phantasm. This is a fantastic one for all those people who are thinking about, man, how delicate these actual dragons are. This really helps that. I mean, yes, obviously some of them are still going to get attacked on your opponent's turn and have you lose them, but this is a way to, save those big attack ones off from being popped. So definitely a companion. I gotta probably see a lot of companioning with this one with other dragons as well. So this might be a support class of dragon there, but very interesting, very cool. I do like how they're all sort of tied to different land things. We'll see that. This is like tied to the oceans like that. We'll also see some other ones tied to different, like the Savage Lands, things like that. So that's really cool that they're starting to, have a little bit of lore twined into these two, and maybe we'll see them again. You never really know. But yeah, that is probably going to be pretty good for pairing with others. So, all right, on to Invoke Yandere or Yandere. This is from Fabrica, as well as the actual dragon itself. So 1 pitch, 1 cost, 3 defense. So the same as we've been seeing all day, 2 days so far, except the first one, which is 0. They're all at rare here, and not legendary as of note. Yandere itself enters the arena with an endurance counter on him. They do gender them here. If Yandere would be dealt damage, remove an endurance counter from him to prevent 3 of that damage. And this is a 3 attack and 3 health. So an interesting concept here. I mean, ultimately, it's making it easier to kill in general. I mean, you can still wipe this out with a 6 power attack in a single turn, but if you don't have that, you can attack this for 1, and then another time attack it for 3, and it's dead. So really, it's making it weaker. So this must have been a balance thing, but I don't really understand why it was made this way. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to know about that, but I guess I don't know. It's weird and it's different. Maybe there's going to be some synergies with counters or endurance things or something like that. that we just haven't seen yet, but I don't know. Otherwise, it just kind of makes it harder to deal with in the sense of that it's got prevention of damage. I guess that's not hitting, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. All I can say is I don't know. We'll put it that way. Jury is out on Yandere. All right, on to Helios Miter. This is from Judge Hub. This is the new cracked bauble. It's definitely different. This is a token, no longer a resource thing. This is a piece of armor, and I think it's probably better off than the baubles because really baubles just kind of hurt. This one does do something. So this is again, a player may add a Helios Miter to their card pool in Uprising limited format. You don't have to pull them to do that. Instant, pay 2. For the next 1 damage that will be dealt to your hero this turn by a source of your choice. Destroy Helios Miter at the beginning of the end phase. Generic equipment head blocks for nothing. So again, I like this. This is essentially quell that costs more. It's a double costed quell, right? I couldn't make it as good as the actual, quell things that we'll see later, the quelling sleeves and things like that, because otherwise, why have those in the set? And there actually isn't a headpiece, so we see this one as the headpiece there. All in all, this is a interesting piece that gives everyone a piece of equipment, which is always kind of hurtful. Like if you're drafting, you're opening things, you don't really get any good equipment that is going to play in your hero. You always have access to something to do some sort of damage prevention. And this isn't just a single prevention because you can do that multiple times during a turn, and multiple pieces of damage, but you only get to do it during a single turn. All in all, I think I like it better than the crack baubles. More likely to see actual play and make people happy. So I think it's nice. Interesting time to put it in there. And now we have our whole quelling thing. So Judge Hub also got the placeholder card for the Dragons of Legend. So that is the beautiful card here that you can probably just, circle or somehow indicate, mark, next to the name here, which dragon you actually have. So this way you can have, this is going to have a normal Flesh and Blood back. So it won't be that flip invocation card because obviously that would be, a marked card in that regard. So there you go. Then you can have that in your box, whatever playing. Then boom, this is the card that you actually have in your hand. It tells you the cost and tells you defense, so you can still sort of defend and play it out like that, as well as the pitch. But they're all red pitch. All right, so that is those are from Judge Hub. Next one, we just talked about quelling things. This is quelling slippers, sleeves, and robes. This was spoiled by Fab with Matt. I like these. I don't know if they're going to see a lot of play outside of limited. I do think these are well placed in the set. We're seeing a lot of wide attacks in some of these decks, and this is a way to trim down on the damage you're actually getting from different sources and not actually ditching those cards to the graveyard. So it's a little bit helpful in fatigue and limited formats, that sort of thing. They're also just pretty looking art, and I do like the mechanic itself. It's an interesting idea, and I'm actually quite fond of it. So we see your body, your arms, and your legs here, and we saw the Judge Hub Helios Miter for the skull or the head piece here. So you can quell up for these things, and whether they see play outside of limited, we're not entirely sure. They could be seeing play in common or something like that. It's dependent upon your matchup, really. As you want to, maybe if you're playing a ninja or draconic or something like that, you want to have a little bits of damage that you can prevent in a single turn. That can be good. All in all, kind of interesting. And what I do like about these is quelling is an instant. You do not have to go in and block with these. So you can, if someone razors, you can then boom, go quell damage to bring that down again. So it's very important for those last little poke throughs of instant speed or attack reaction damage as well. So that's, I think, another reason why I like the quell in general. So those are our new quelling places. All right, on to Waning Moon. This is from Nimsh. This is a new weapon. So this is a wizard staff. This is the token one. So two-handed. Once per turn, pay 2, deal 2 damage to target hero. If it's not your turn, instead deal 3 arcane damage to them. Activate this ability only if you play a non-attack action card this turn. So you have to go ahead and Kano or do something, Iceland or Kano, do something on your opponent's turn with a non-attack action. That will allow you to turn on that third piece of arcane damage. So on rate, that's quite nice. This is probably the most powerful staff we've seen so far per rate. I mean, the Kraken's Aether Vine is it's 1 damage for 3 resources. A Crucible just adds things on. So definitely, this is quite a nice way to pay off playing on someone else's turn, as well as it's a good chunk of damage. So I like it. I think it's going to see it could see some proper play. I mean, it is expensive, and it is only so tall. Part of the Crucible of A3 thing that was good is it can add on, make those things taller, which a lot of times Kano wizards in general on hits were important. This is going to be not allowing you to go a little bit higher. It's just going to go a little bit harder. But you never know. This could be still something very useful in general. Yeah, I like it. Very interesting. On to our next one. This is our first legendary for the day. We have the Ghostly Touch. This is from Fabled Academy. This is an illusionist equipment for the arms. It has no defense value. It says, whenever an illusionist attack you control is destroyed by Phantasm, put a haunt counter on Ghostly Touch. Once per turn action, remove a haunt counter from Ghostly Touch. Until end of turn, this becomes an illusionist ally with Phantasm, base, power, and health equal to the number of haunt counters on it. Once per turn action, 3 attack, go again. So on its face, I first thought this was just a total, like, it's garbage. Like, why would you want this? Whatever. And then you start to think about it a little bit more. You know, if this was going into, like, your normal Herald, I guess pre-Uprising illusionist, it would be just okay, right? You know? Like, cool, I'll get a couple things on here. You know, I'm unless I'm playing the wrong matchup, I'm not going to have a huge amount of my sort of Heralds or big things popped by Phantasm, right? So maybe I'll get a couple on here. And 3's expensive, and I have to remove one, and, you know, this can just get blown up as well, right? But then you think about this Uprising set and all these Ashwings, Aether Ashwings, and these dragons. Those are all things that are going to get popped from Spectra. And it does say Illusionist Attack, so it's not attack action card. And that is anything that is Illusionist Attack. So those tokens will count. And those can add up. Yes, they might not get popped by popped by Phantasm, but they could be. And that's where it could really count. So, you know, if you play your cards right, you can try to have a really Phantasm-focused deck and then have this be the thing that comes in for a large amount of damage. You know, you pair this with something that can peek at their opponent's hand to make sure they're not going to be able to pop this with Phantasm. And you get a bunch of counters on here and swing big with this guy. So I think it definitely has its ability to be powerful, particularly in certain matchups that are just going to try to pop. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's still definitely room to massage it in different places, but I kind of like it. All right, next legendary. The only other legendary we have for proper spoilers, this is eluvian constellus. This is from the Card Guys. There was a very goofy video they had of going to school, Volcor school. Yeah, wizard equipment chest, blocks for 0. The first time eluvian constellus prevents arcane damage each turn if it has less than 4 energy counters on it, you may put an energy counter on it. Instant, remove 2 energy counters from eluvian constellus. The next staff ability you activate this turn costs 3 less, arcane barrier 1. So a nice way to be able to, the first time each turn, add a counter on here. Again, I think the thing to read into this is that it's essentially free resources. Or it's banking resources, right? You're going to be paying arcane barrier to essentially stow counters on this. So you're banking those resources. And then you get to remove them for free resources. And it's actually cheaper. You're getting a better reduction. It's only 2 counters for 3 resources. Now, yes, not all the staffs we see here are actually going to cost 3. We have Kraken's Aetherfind that does, only shoots for 1. But we do have the Waning Moon, which is a 2-cost one that can deal 3 arcane damage. Crucible Aether Weave is 1 as well. There's a lot of utility there. Free resources, particularly for Wizard, can be all the difference there. It could be, the difference between being able to go off or not go off, or get that little bit more of damage in when it matters to get people to pitch to Arcane or something like that. Can be really, really quite important. And plus, it covers staffs for the future as well that might be more powerful. So definitely a thing to consider as a staple for Wizard in particular matchups. Obviously, if you're not playing against any other Arcane, then this is going to do dead nothing. Don't use it. But all in all, I think it's very cool, and I think there's a lot to be dug out and figured out for this particular one. So that is that. All right, on to Singe. This is from Elaine Hometry. This is a wizard action. It's a 1-pitch, 1-cost, 3 defense. Deals 1 arcane damage to target hero and up to 3 target allies they control. So from my reading, I believe this is going to deal 4 total arcane damage for 1 resource. Not too shabby. I can dig that. And he's spread out. That's the thing. It's only going to shoot 1 at the actual opponent's hero. But you get to shoot up a bunch of allies. So obviously heavily matchup dependent, right? Nothing with allies is going to... This is not good against anything without allies, right? So this is really meant for taking down those Aether Ashwings. That's really where it is. Yes, there's some dragon. There's that one dragon with the 1 health, thing like that could actually have some major damage to it, right? But outside of that, this is going to be purely limited, I think, unless you're going to be playing against someone who goes wide with those and is not going to pay for that arcane. But all in all, an interesting card. I assume there's a blue and yellow with less targets for those arcane damage. But all in all, yes, 4 for 1 seems good, but it's all spread out and it's kind of weird. That is Singe. All right, now we have Brightmare. This is something of nightmare. So the Tall Timmy made a really funny and totally didn't see where it was going, video about this card. So please check that out as well. It was interesting cinematography there. Some itching, things like that. You'll have to go and watch. But yeah, this is Frightmare. It's a 1 pitch, 3 cost, 13 attack, 0 defense, illusion attack action. This is now contender number 2 for the strongest card in Flesh and Blood outside of the Pulverize. So definitely a very powerful card. It says play Frightmare only if an illusionist attack action card you control has been destroyed by Phantasm this turn and it has Phantasm. So obviously, this is something that you really want to make sure they don't have Phantasm popping abilities in their hand. First attack, you're just kind of willing to sacrifice that. I mean, it's playing into your game plan. It's going to be something that you're going to bank in your arsenal anyways. Can't block with it, so that can just sort of stay there. Yes, it might get locked there, but if you're playing a lot of stuff with Phantasm, you can really go to town there. So now I do want to say, it does say only if an illusionist attack action card you control has been destroyed. So this will not work on those tokens, unfortunately. But still very exciting and looks more like a, Demonastery Shadow Illusionist card, but I guess just all meant to be a frightening sort of thing. So we'll let that all alone there. All right, on to Rewind. This is from Arc. This is our Wizard instant. It's a blue, which is quite nice there. Cost 1. Rewind is negate target non-attack card, action card, and return it to its owner's hand. That hero then gains 1 action point. So essentially, this is just wiping out the resources. So we see negate. We saw Aetherize. Which it was limited on the cost of cards it could negate. Unfortunately, here it doesn't help all that much because it just essentially it can definitely sputter a deck out, right? It can sputter a wizard deck out or something else out because you're just dumping out those resources, essentially negating that resource. But they can still play it again. They still have the card, so in that regard, it delays. Which is tempo is huge. It's very important. It's just like it's delaying the inevitable, one might say. But I think it's very interesting space to play around with. And again, if it's something on your particular turn that someone's attacking with a non-attack action, so again a wizard battle, right, on your turn, you can essentially just shut them down for that little action, and that does stop them, right? They don't gain the action point back. Maybe they didn't have the action point to begin with, obviously, because a lot of the things they're doing are instant speed. But all that said, it's we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure. Interesting, weird. I love the art. I love this art. Same thing with the the last card today. Also, I love this new art style. It's just so good. Second to last card. It's same artist, but yeah, these it's really much like back to original MTG art with like old stuff with Richard Kane Ferguson, like that, but like mesh with Salvador Dali. It's like this really interesting stuff, and I love it. I'm glad they're bringing some stuff that isn't necessarily totally ingrained with the place that we are for that, but that's getting out of hand. All right, on to Transmigrafy for Fab Lab. This is a 1 pitch, 1 cost, 2 defense illusionist action at rare. It says your next attack action card you play this turn is an illusionist, has 8 base power, and gains Phantasm. Go again. I assume there's going to be yellow and blue with a lower base power here, but you never know. I like it because I hated it at the beginning, right? Because why not just play a higher power card, right? But if you're looking at this in limited, maybe you're looking at a draconic attack that's 1 and you don't want it to be 1 and it's cost 0. And so boom, you play it 1 to give it up to 8, right? On-hit effects in this is somewhat substantial. So in that regard, that can actually do something. But outside of that, I'm not really sure. You might just want to play a more powerful card. 8's high, yeah, but the whole card just to buff another card and not an instant speed. So we'll have to see about that one. But that is Transmigrafy. That all you got is our next one. This is from Watch Flake. This is a 2 pitch, a 0 cost, a majestic generic defense reaction, defense for 3. It says, well, this is defending an attack with 2 or less power. When the combat chain closes, draw a card. So obviously if it gets bumped up afterwards, not going to draw that card. But I do love this design and really allows you to not have the sort of detriment of having a defense reaction in hand. You get to draw that card back, but it's highly limited that it can only block 2 or less to do that. So it's like blocking with an actual card, like a generic, whatever, 2 defense, 3 defense, whatever. But you get that card back in some cases, and I think that's quite powerful. Looking at this particular set where things are going very wide and low, it can make a lot of sense. You get that card back, you don't lose that tempo, you don't lose the resources, that card, whatever. That's quite useful. So I'm pretty high on this card as well. All right, second to last, we have Erase Face. This is another one of those artists. So Riordan Del Mero. Love this art style. So this is Erase Face, a 1 pitch, 2 cost, 6 attack, 2 defense, majestic, generic attack action. It says, when Erase Face hits a hero, cards in tokens they own lose all classes and talent types on the next turn. very exciting. Has major repercussions that you probably don't really think about for, whether it be cost reduction for like Guardian stuff like that, or obviously for this particular set, Draconic stuff is huge, and Ninja stuff is huge. Everything really does depend upon, or talks about, non-generic cards talk about talents or classes rather often, and so this is probably going to have more profound effects than you think. Plus, it's a 2 for 6, which isn't too bad, and it's a 6-power card. So Phantasm Breaker, particularly in this set, there's a lot of Phantasm. This seems quite good. So I also, Mansan did a fantastic job in that video of just like poking. You should go watch the video. It was really, really quite good. He's also got a great announcement in there of being selected for some battles on the main page of Flesh and Blood. So definitely check out that video. I won't spoil anything else. Yeah, please check out the video. That was really, really quite well done as well. All right, on to our last one. Last but not least, this is Dead Summer Arts Oasis Respite. This is a 1-pitch, 1-cost generic instant. I assume there's some other color strips as well. So it says prevent the next 4 damage that would be dealt to a target hero this turn by a source you control. If you have less life than each other hero, you may gain 1 health. So on its face, I assume again yellow and blue might be prevent 3 and prevent 2. I see this obviously in the way it's worded. It works well in UPF. I mean, it's allowing you to have multiple heroes that can. Everyone has to have less life than you, right? Or have less life than them. But even so, you can prevent someone else's damage being done. I don't love it as much because it is. It yes, allows you to move it around, politic a little bit in that regard. But I don't love it as much as because it is limited to a single source. So if something is only coming in for 2, do you really want to use this? You don't really know. And then it is an instant, so it doesn't block for anything anyways. It does cost 1. So it's essentially 2 cards to prevent some damage and possibly gain some life. So I think it'll probably see some play in UPF, but I'm not sure how much outside of that we'll see it. But you never know. Instants can be pretty good sometimes for prevention of damage. So that is it. So that is all of the proper spoiler season. We have some booster box openings as well that have been on the schedule as well, so you might be able to see some other cards there. It's pretty short, stunted in my opinion in spoiler season. I definitely think we could have had some more people make the videos, but hey, you know what? There's a strategy behind all that they do, so that'll be it for this spoiler season. Thank you for joining me for these Pints previews. Had a very good time discussing all these hot and exciting spoilers for Uprising, so hope you guys can get to some pre-releases. Hope you guys get some boxes when it first comes out. Going to be an exciting, draftable set. Very interested. It's been a long time with Tales of Aria. Happy to go on to a new format. So that will be all for tonight. So thank you so much and cheers.